in Nigeria, tribalism have been elevated to the status of a national culture which have dominated national discourse. It influences the way we think, talk, and even determines who and what we oppose or support. Hello and welcome to Indepth on ABS Television. My name is Priska Wankwo. Today, our spotlight will be on tribalism as a bane of societal development. And joining the conversation today, I have two gentlemen in the house. But I'm going to be introducing our guest for today's program after this time out. Don't go away. This is Indepth. Hello and welcome to the program Indepth on ABS Television. Just before the break, I told you that when we come back, we're going to be introducing our guests, and they're already seated here with me. So joining the conversation today, I have Mike Obiajulu Meze. He's a public affairs analyst. You can also call him MOM. Hello, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I also have Sir Chris Chikwelu. He is a political analyst. Hello and welcome to the program.
Thank you, viewers.
So, Nigeria is a country with different ethnic groups, but the thing is, at the end of the day, all these ethnic groups merge into one entity called Nigeria. But over the years, we found out that different problems and societal issues arise because a lot of people believe that our tribes and ethnicities are superior to others. That is why today we focus our spotlight on tribalism and ethnicity as the bane of our societal development. But before we commence on that, I would like to ask my guests in the house, when people talk about tribalism and ethnicity, what really comes to mind? Mr. Mike.
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that question. But when people talk about tribalism nowadays, it's not often what you think they're talking about.
Okay.
Back years, when people talked about tribalism, yes, that's what you have in mind. They are talking about the fact that I'm Jew, I'm Igbo, I'm Hausa, I'm Yoruba, I'm a Gala, But when you use the word tribalism in today's world, and the world is constantly evolving, it could be a computer group, it could be a social club, it could be lovers of a particular way of life. It could be lovers of a particular way of doing things. It could be lovers of a particular gadget. Like nowadays, you talk about digital natives. And within digital natives, you have various tribes. And they express the same, most of the qualities that the Igbo tribe, for instance, the Hausa tribe, the Yoruba tribe as we used to know them of old. Okay? But oftentimes, when people, particularly those who are not exposed to the digital world and those who have refused to evolve with time, when you say tribalism, then that's okay, you're talking about a people with possibly the same ancestry or same language, same way of doing things. But tribalism today goes beyond, same way of same kindred, same ancestry, same culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So based on what you're saying right now, so are you trying to say that the tribalism we used to know in the past, it is no longer what is obtainable right now? So are you trying to say that those tribalism people we're talking about before now, that this digital age and all those things you've said now have taken over? Is that what you're trying to say?
Not completely. I'm not saying that digital tribes have taken over completely from the old tribes as we knew them, but they are gradually taking over. Let me give you an example. If, for instance, you are Igbo and I'm Hausa, it's expected that we may not, given how things functioned in the days of yore, we may not meld together very well. But if we belong to a particular specific tribe in the digital world, for instance, you will find out that you and I, me being Hausa and you being Igbo, might get on much, much better than, let's say, Chris, right? let's say Chris is Igbo and you are Igbo, you might find out that because we have that commonality of interest, that was one word that was missing in my definition.
Okay.
Because you and I have that commonality of interest, we might get on much better than you and Chris will get on.
Okay. So, Chris, do you have something to add to what you said?
Well, to some extent,
Okay.
some areas I can adopt.
Okay. Then.
Some areas I have one or two issues there.
All right.
Because when you talk about the topic, tribalism, then of social development,
Yeah.
we look at it on the angle of socio-political, economic angle. Whereby in our country, Nigeria, from the time immemorial, in the sense of the time we got our independence, the people that fought for our independence, they had a struggle with one common agenda to get an independence for our great country, Nigeria. But after some time, some things crept in the sense that minor suspicion came in from the between the leaders, among the leaders, and some people used it as a pivot for them to climb or to either actualize their political aspiration. And the thing went on and went on until how we found ourselves today. And when you look at the, let me say, the political lexicon of the country, you find out that what goes today is where is he or where is she from? If he wants to give somebody appointment, they will say, this person is appointing more Igbos or more Hausas or more Yorubas into his cabinet. These things are the things that never existed when our founding fathers were fighting for independence. So actually, why I should support that is bent of social development is that the Nigerian government also is not doing much towards that, because like I rightly said all the time whenever I'm in the media, that the National Orientation Agency has a lot to do to reorientate Nigerians. The reason why we should drop tribalism and go for merit, because most often tribalism in this country has created a situation whereby we now live on mediocrity instead of living on meritocracy for our country to grow, and it has affected development of the country in a very negative dimension. Because in as much as we know that there exists Federal Character Commission, where they say, okay, this person will come from this particular zone, where it comes to appointment, this person will come from this particular zone. But in as much as those things exist, because a lot of people, they have developed that mindset, and today it is affecting our development, making the country to grumble, making the country not to move the dimensions or the speed the country is supposed to be in.
Okay, all right. Mr. Mike, Sir Chris, when he was speaking, he said something about people believing that their own tribe is superior, and that these things, this tribalism, all these activities, it wasn't existing in the time of our founding fathers. So what do you think changed?
It hasn't, not much has changed really in that direction, from the point of view of feeling superior, or feeling that A tribe is better than B tribe, or worse than A tribe, and so on and so forth. What has happened is that the population of the world, and specifically Nigeria, has grown exponentially. Okay? At the time he was talking about when we started politicking, just prior to independence and immediately after independence, the population of this country was less than 50 million. Today, you're talking about 200 million Nigerians. So that's one factor. Second factor, the world is just a global village, today, as Marshall McLuhan said over 50 years ago. So it is possible for something to happen in, let us say, the remotest part of Nigeria today, and it will be hard almost immediately at the other end of the country. Okay? Now, if, let's say 50 years ago, something happened in Onitsha, it will take the man in Sokoto possibly about 2-3 days to be aware of it. But right now, the man in Sokoto can actually watch what is happening in Onitsha live, and take a position and possibly act on that position. So communication, growth in population have sort of exacerbated tribalism one way or the other. But I must also say that we shouldn't be always look at the negative side. Yeah, like you said, it's important for us to look at it from the point of view of what we need to do to either diffuse or minimize the impacts, the negative aspects of tribalism. Over the years too, you will find that various governments have tried to take conscious efforts to minimize or eradicate tribalism in Nigeria. One major example is the National Youth Service Corps. One of the ideas behind National Youth Service Corps, and I've seen both positive benefits of it, is that somebody born and brought up in, let's say, Lagos State, finds himself in Sokoto State, or in Cross River State, or in Akwa Ibom State for youth service for 1 year. During that 1 year, the person gets to understand how, sometimes before you leave, I say, don't go to that area or they eat people. Don't go to that area or they are backward. All kinds of things. And then the person goes and falls in love with I've had several stories. I know of a Yoruba lady. She's now about 50-something. That comes to Igbo land every Christmas. The reason, she served in Umuopu here in Oka. All right? At that time, Oka was not as developed as it is today. So Umuopu was a rural village. When she came, she didn't know anybody. But she was attached to a family where luckily the family had no girl. So she became their daughter. All right, a lady that had about 4 or 5 boys. So she more or less adopted the girl. When she got married a couple of, 1 or 2 decades ago, all right, she insisted that the lady and the husband must come to Lagos and play a role at her wedding. Now, over the years, some kind of relationship has blossomed between that girl, her family, and the Umuopu family that hosted her.
All right, okay. So Chris, a lot of time people say that, for instance, you meet an American citizen,
yes,
and you ask the person, where are you from? The person tells you, I'm an American. You meet somebody from UK and you ask the person, where are you from? The person tells you, I'm British. But you meet somebody from Nigeria, the first thing they tell you is, I'm from Igbo, I'm from Hausa, I'm from Yoruba. They don't tell you first. That is not the first thing that comes out from their mouth. They don't tell you, I'm a Nigerian. So now the question is, do you think that our actions as people, as citizens, has also contributed to why tribalism has continued to flourish despite all effort to, reduce it?
All right, thank you. Actually, just like you asked, normally, in my campaign, I always tell people that it is high time we are going to diffuse indigenship. Because indigenship has been one of the burden of the problem. We need to promote the word citizenship instead of indigenship. Because first of all, you are Nigerian. And the law that empowered you as a Nigerian is all over the entire country, length and breadth of the country. And that's why if you check during the time of the colonial masters, early time, you go to Enugu, you see a lot of people, the mayor of Enugu then used to be a Northerner. And there are many places it was like that. And these are the things that create today that somebody might be at Lagos, working, doing his businesses there, doing everything there. He might have stayed beyond the stipulated time for somebody to contest an election. when he places his picture or whatever to contest, you see people saying, why is he contesting an election here? Why not he go back to his state? Whereas he lives there, he contributes to the social and gross domestic and development of that place. So those things are the issues we need to diffuse. Then on the other part, like my colleague said, yes, communication and population contributed, but slightly, because I know there are some countries that are very much populated than Nigeria. For instance, China has a very large population. Even in some places like Guangzhou, Taiwan, they are very distant away from each other. But you can never hear them tell you that because of their large population, that they could not manage themselves. They don't practice tribalism there. The reason because we have developed a mindset. You know, they normally say that from the mouth, from the mind, the mouth speaketh.
Yeah.
Because what you have in the mind, what you might have not in your mind, is what your mouth speaks. If Nigerians will develop a very good attitude of having impression or having all the things they do, that the very first thing is that we are all Nigerians, without minding wherever you come from. But first of all, let us work together for the common good.
I'd like to comment.
No, wait, I'm coming in. Then on the other part, because population is not the issue. Let me tell you, in my university days, I once lived in a hostel whereby it was after when we have graduated that I later knew that the one who was my roommate, they are even from a polygamous family. He had other of his brothers who were still in the university. One was reading medicine then, one was reading surveying, and the other one who was reading medical rehabilitation was the one living with me in the school hall there at the University of Nigeria. And I never knew that these people were not born of the same mother. They had one father, but they are very polygamous. Their father married about 4 wives. And they were behaving as if they were from one man and just a husband and wife. But it was after long ago, when we graduated from the university, they had one program at their community house. I attended because then there was no GSM phone. It was when we met somewhere, from there. I attended the program. It was from there that I even found out that those people were not even born of the same woman. Because of what? The orientation their father, their parents, their co-wives or whatever gave to them, that they now grew with it. So that's what I'm trying to say. The communication, the population, yes, to some extent, it is contributing, but in a legislation, it is not a problem.
Okay.
Then communication on the other part.
Okay.
Yes, I know that the advent of WhatsApp, social media and other, yes, to some extent, is contributing. They are contributing factors.
Okay.
But willingly, if somebody, for instance, I open your WhatsApp, you see a lot of things people say. For instance, if I'm not someone who is a promoter of ethnic, I'm not an ethnic bigot, most of the things they send me was, I don't make use of them, because when you read it, you know that this one may be somebody who might have crafted it from just a very small mind.
All right, okay. Mr. Mike, I know you have something to say, but just hold that thought. We are going to go on a short break. When we come back, you'll have the chance to say everything you have to say. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, the program continues. This is Indepth.
It depends on the individual. And so secondly, it depends on language. Some language I had to pronounce and to learn. And sometimes it depends on the character and the behavior and that social culture. So you might work, you might not work. So it's better for you to continue with the language you know or the tribe you know very well.
It depends on predetermined concepts about such tribe. Probably what one must have heard, how they treat other tribes.
Because there's no love. They don't even understand themselves in the sense of tribe. Only what I know about people is that people like only intimate brothers and sisters in the 3 tribes as you are saying it. It is good that we're supposed to be one tribe as it's supposed to be. But because of inside the differences, sentiments only, that is what causes problem among our Igbo tribes.
Some have to do with the historical background of this country. Some people, like the Igbos, for instance, who were all over the place in the past. Some of us suffered some nasty experiences that is difficult for us to just mix up immediately without some orientation. We need orientation to believe that there's now need for us to come together. There needs to be that trust to build. Otherwise, for instance, my own tribe, people, they're all over. They're all over the world. They're over in the country, in the north, everywhere. But I believe there's need for us to be one country. The greater the country, the better for us. Also, there are cultural differences. Matters a lot. Because the way I reason, the way other people, the things they take for, the things they accept may not really be what we do accept. Tradition and culture, it differs.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is still Indepth on ABS Television, and it was the heated section in the house. You know, before the break, I asked Sir Chris, why is it that a lot of people, it seems that people, through their actions, contribute to the reason why tribalism have continued to thrive in Nigeria? And he made some very good points, but apparently Mr. Mike wants to react to some of these
I'm
points.
actually not disagreeing with him.
Okay.
There are 3 areas where I want to comment.
All
The
right,
first
go on.
one is that he gave an example of somebody who has lived and used Lagos, lived in Lagos for almost all his
And
life,
wants to
and he
contest
wants to
something,
contest
a political
election.
position.
Okay, it's not completely true.
Really?
Yes, because
But it
he
happens.
same Sir Chris gave
Yeah.
examples.
Okay.
2 examples that he gave. One is attitude, the attitude of the person. All right? And attitude starts with one person and then it becomes a collective attitude.
Sure.
Then the other point that he gave from the example of his roommate in university is leadership. Because the father or the parents that you eventually enlarge give everybody a sense of belonging and a sense of unity. He spent 4 or 5 years in the university. He didn't know that these friends of his were from different mothers. Now let me go back to the Lagos example. In Lagos State, I was born in Lagos State. I've spent most of my life in Lagos State. I know Lagos better than any other state in Nigeria. And I've been around, I've been to every state in Nigeria. I spent a couple of days at places where I've spent months. But I contested the election in Lagos State.
And did you win?
And I won. Not once, not 2 times.
Really?
I belong to the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations.
Okay.
Okay? And
As a professional,
Institution, not a political institution.
Just hold on. If I was interested in politics, if Mike Obiajulu-Meze was interested in politics, I would contest the election in Lagos. And I
And you
will
win. Sure about that?
Very sure.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
I will contest the election in Lagos and I will win. It is the attitude. How you relate with the people that you relate with. Now, when you talked about NIP, yes,
remember that constituencies are different. Areas are There are some
In
areas,
the-
for instance, in Lagos.
Yes.
There are areas where let me give an example. In
Yes.
Ward of local government,
Yes.
which is housing Festac and some part of satellite.
Yes.
You know, normally that area completely domiciled by. A
Yeah, it's
group of
dominated
people.
by Igbos,
Let me
yes.
let me use the word Igbos.
Yeah.
That the people who are there. So actually, whoever that must represent that area must be those people who are living there. You cannot use that place as an example. What I'm using as an example is when you go to areas maybe like Oshodi, places that are, they are mixed up.
It
You understand me?
is still possible. The attitude of the person and then the attitude of the constituency. It's just that time doesn't permit us. I will show you instances, even in this present dispensation, where people who are not indigenous of particular areas and where their own tribes are not dominating those specific constituencies, and they have been able to be elected. The challenge, though, is that we need to accelerate the pace of that change. Okay? We need to have more and more people. Okay, I need to, we need to have more and more people from, let's say, the southwest, go to northeast or northwest, and run for offices. We need to have somebody, people from the southeast go to, let's say, University of Sokoto, for instance, and become vice chancellor, and is accepted. We need to have somebody, more and more people from the south, west, from the north central, wherever, go to zones that are not their own and occupy positions like chief medical director, occupy positions like managing director of, let us say, ABS, and they are accepted. All right? Right now, there are pockets of it. It hasn't changed. The change has not come as fast as the change in more and more people getting to be tribalistic. But we can change that. We can change that. The more, I gave you the example of the National Youth Service Corps. There is also the federal government colleges. The more we encourage our children who go to federal government colleges, that when they get to the school, they forget, they should try as much as possible to minimize their Igboism or Hausaism or Yorubaism, and remember that they are Nigerians.
True.
Okay? The more you will find that there will never be a time when there will be no tribalism. I must tell you that. Never.
Really?
Even in the United States, they have it. Even in the most civilized parts of the world. That is how the world started in the first place. The world started from small groups.
Tribalism is
But we can reduce it.
nepotism. They're not the same.
Yeah.
No. There is no way, you will.
The reason
eradicate-
why sometimes
Yes.
we talk about our own is because
Yeah.
it's affecting development here.
yeah,
Because
because-
a lot of people, things keep happening. People keep ascribing it to tribe. Because you're from outside, that is why you're appointing your brothers to be the people in power.
Yeah.
But
Without
I'm saying
thinking
that
about professionalism.
we need social orientation. Just like what he said concerning people, trying to study here, study here. Yes, those things. Initially, it used to be. When people take federal government colleges exam, you put in some people, maybe if you check people now within 40 years up and above. Some of them who attended federal government colleges, some are in Sokoto, FGC Sokoto, some are in FGC Medugri, some attended FGC Oluwanje, many areas. But these days, most often, look at some of our youth. They talk about unemployment. Deep down their heart, ask some of them some pertinent questions. You find that some of them have been offered employment, maybe at Sokoto, either in a federal institution at Sokoto. I know about two. When President Goodluck established those 6 federal institutions he established shortly before he left, somebody was offered employment somewhere at one of the universities in northwestern part. He turned it down because of what? Remember, people were telling her, you want to go there, they will kill you, this and that, all these things. So those things are what we are pleading. Let the National Orientation Agency, which are arm of government, be at the hit. Let them start hitting the ground so they can give Nigerians good orientation. People can now believe and live in unity as one. We're not saying that yet election, a professional exam, a professional body is a professional body. You understand? I belong to a professional body. You might even in the north. Let me give you an example. There was a time they used to zone like NBA. They used to zone their this thing, this and that. You find out that at times when it comes to northern zone to produce, most of them may not be interested in professional politics. That's what we call professional politics. There are some people now who are lawyers, they are not interested in MBA politics. They go to their court, they face their litigation business. But it comes to that professional politics. Some people may not be interested. You find out that some people, some Igbos, may be contesting election from that part of the northern slot. Just like in Lagos, you can go to Lagos, maybe now they are contesting for like Marouche. You understand me? You may belong to Nawoja as a journalist. It might be the turn of Lagos to produce a president, Southwest. You see Igbos who are running from there. That is a professional issue. So
Yeah,
it doesn't
right.
go into that.
but it's
Okay,
equally
yeah.
important because
But when we are talking about real governance,
one of the lessons from there is that as professionals, you have learnt that it is what Mr. B or A brings to the table, not the color of Mr. B's eyes or his intonation
Where he comes from.
or where he comes from. All right? So if we can do that professionally, why can't we do it in other areas of our lives?
All right. Okay. So finally, what do you think our leaders have to do to help eliminate all those forms of tribalism that is plaguing the country? What is the role? What are the role of the leaders?
I think that first and foremost, like he said, enthrone merit. If you enthrone merit, you will not be looking for the colors of people's eyes or their intonation, whether they are squat or tall or whatever. Merit. Fairness. If you're fair to the leaders are fair. All right? They are fair in their decisions. Yes, we have a system called federal character. If we also strictly enforce federal character, when it's good and when it's bad, all right? Because we have federal character now. If you talk about police recruitment, you have federal character. But when it's time to send people to Boko Haram, we conveniently forget federal character. So that's where fairness comes in. So we need to enthrone merit, like you first said.
Okay.
We need to be fair.
Okay.
And we need to walk the federal character 100%.
All right. Thank you. Sir Chris, just briefly, just tell what's your advice to the people out there, that's citizens of Nigeria?
my advice to Nigerians is for us to love each other. Because firstly, if we love ourselves, we forget about tribalism. Then on the other part, we need to develop a culture of acceptability. In most cases, why this issue of tribalizing tribes? Because maybe you can see somebody who is a head of parastatal, you can go to head of service, lobby for a transfer of somebody who may be from his kit to now his office, in order he wants somebody from his place to be closer to him. No, if you come into a place as a director, develop a culture with the person who is supposed to be either your messenger, who is supposed to be either your tea maker or your driver. Make him or her believe that this work, that people should do it as one. From there, love will start to grow. And once such a love will grow, and also somebody from another tribe can be your cook. He won't kill you. Okay. What is important is the way you develop love towards that person.
All right, thank
I
you.
think if all these things are done, Nigeria will be a better place for us to start. Nigeria will develop.
Thank you. And that's the dream for our country, Nigeria, to be a better place for all of us to live in. I want to thank my analysts for coming on today's program. I want to thank Mike Obiajulu Meze. He's a public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming to
Thank you very much.
I also want to thank Sir Chris Chikwelu. He's a political analyst. Thank you for coming on the program today.
Thank you much.
And well, there you have it. Nigeria is our nation, and promoting togetherness, love, is the only way to keep us together and eliminate all forms of violence and tribalism to make our country to continue to be the great nation we hope and pray for. Till next time on Indepth, I am Priska Woho.